Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the War of the Spark Sheets and what this means from a collector's standpoint, player's standpoint. So, when this whole debacle happened with the Mythic Edition, um, and people got a free sheet if they were lucky enough to not have gotten a box and also had been able to purchase one, or unlucky enough, however you want to, go about thinking about that. There were, I've got some sources that say that there were well over 20 to 30,000 of these sheets printed, and you'll start seeing, if you haven't already, hundreds of these sheets being cut up and distributed either as, offset cut sheets or cards rather, or just being cut up and sold as individual foils. So, a lot of them came damaged, like this one here. This is actually probably the worst part of it. That card is trash. Card doesn't matter really. There's a little bit of damage up on this one here. I had to buy all my sheets. I didn't get a War... Well, I got a War of the Spark box, Mythic Edition, but it was because of a friend of mine who was able to get one and didn't... the plan was for our group to buy 7 of them. I was going to buy 2, another person 2, another person 2, another person 1. None of us got it except for the one. so I got the box from him, but none of us even got sheets because we didn't actually have our payments go through or something goofy like that. So I've had to buy all my sheets. I have another sheet that's like I have another sheet that's in almost gem mint condition, which was very difficult to find. That one's going to be framed, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll go through a video on framing a sheet as well. So yes. So we'll go through the process of framing a sheet. I'm going to do a kind of a mythic. Let's see, where's this top frame here? I'm going to do that on the top of the frame. That I'm going to make a wooden frame for it. Anyway, I want to cut this sheet up. I bought this sheet specifically to cut up. It's a little damaged on the edges. There's a few cards that we're going to have to lose, but there's 2 of every rare in foil and 1 of every mythic from the set. So that's, I mean, if you think about it, 2 of these sheets, and you've got a full place of every foil rare. 4 of these sheets, and you got a play set, 2 play sets of rares and a full play set of mythics. That's crazy. So that's a problem, I think. It's going to really drive down the costs of these cards. In addition to that, you don't even necessarily know if the cards you're getting when you buy a card secondhand is going to be from a cut sheet or not. Or, aftermarket cut sheet. What do they call it? NFC, not factory cut, or FC for factory cut. That's the terminology people are trying to use when they sell these things to be a little more discreet, and hopefully the buyers don't care or whatever. So, yeah, we're going to go through and cut this sheet. I'm going to use a mat cutter. It's something I use to make this, mats and frames and things like that. That's what we're going to do with this particular sheet. We'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to have to sandwich the sheet between a few different, some matting or something to keep the blade from causing any issues. It'll be interesting on how I line this up and get it perfect, but I shouldn't have a problem. I do pretty precision cuts with the mat cutter, so we'll see. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it was all for science. Yeah, so we're actually, you know what, let's just, I'm going to keep this video here, and we're going to go ahead and stop it and go ahead and get this cut set up and see how we do. We're going to cut the bottom row. It's just an intermediate mat cutter. I'll be using this straight blade with a brand new, flip that around with a brand new sharp blade to make sure that it cuts nice and clean. We won't need the bevel cutter, so let's set that aside. This thing is super curled. Obviously, it's been inside the tube for a long time, so I expect the cards to look like potato chips when they come out of it. That's going to be another issue with these cards. This is going to be really prone to curling, but we're going to measure on the card itself, from the edge of the card to that first dot. I'm going to do right there, line that up, and that first cut line is right where we want it there. So that's how deep we want it. And then it's right there in the middle. So we're going to tighten this down. And we're going to get our mat out. Alright. We're just going to give this a little test cut here. Just set that down in there and give it a test slice. And so we can see our mark. We want to make sure that that mark is right there. Let's see if I'm on the camera. Yeah, I am. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to do the same thing down here. Just get it set up and make a cut. So let's pull our sheet down. Should probably have done this on the top first, because that looks like there's, we got the Fairy and Nicol Bolas car, and oh geez, we got all the good ones. Well, not all the good ones, but a bunch of the good ones on this first sheet here. So, well, go big or go home, I guess, right? So we're gonna set that up like a little bit. I think I'm gonna get a heavy weight to put across here, so I'm gonna go get something to push down on this thing and get it really flat. Okay, so remove this out of the way. Alright, so I've got a couple small strips of wood, and this sheet is sandwiched between this black and the blue matting. This card sheet is pushed all the way up against the rail. Just make sure everything's in there nice and tight. I mean, it's a lot of work, but no risk, no reward. Alright, we have our first cut. Let's take a look and see how we did. Alright, well, we got a little bit of extra cutting here, just like on that card, which was the damaged card anyway. No biggie. I'm gonna set that there. Lift this up. Take these off. And we have our first cut. Let's take a look how this looks. So other than the fact that they look like potato chips, we're right on the money. Oh, a little glary. So we have some cut cards. Let's do the bottom, and we can get these things individually cut out. I'll do a smaller, like a Fiskars, just small. It's not small, but just, it's got a circle blade on it. I'll do that to kind of cut the individual cards once they're in strips. That thing is much, much more accurate. And then we'll buy ourselves a, is it 2-point-something millimeter, 3 millimeter? I forget the millimeter rounding for the corner punch, but we'll get one of those guys. And we should be able to have some pretty nice looking cards. not factory cut magic cards. So as far as I'm aware, there's no issue with using these for any purpose, but I will not be selling them. I don't believe. And if I did, not that I would, they would be definitely, the customer would be told exactly what they were and how they were. I'll probably even show them the video. Alright, so here we go. Ooh, that's tough. Cutting through 3 layers. That is not easy. Probably could tell on my face. Alright, we've got a moment of truth here. Alright, we could probably have shaved off a little bit more. Still can. I can do that individually on the Fisker smaller one, but you can see the bottom here. We can probably trim off just a hair more. They're so curled it's hard to measure these. Well, we'll try to measure this one right here. Just bend this one flat. So it is just a hair under the 3.5. So, you know, had I think in a perfect world, I'd left a smidge at the top, but I mean, this factory cut cards are just as I would say miscut or whatnot. But yeah, so this is an example of cutting a sheet. We'll finish this up maybe in a part 2 video, but that's one row. I'm going to leave this mocked up just like this, and then I can come back and cut the rest of these into strips, and then we'll do the individual cards, and I'm going to have to get a corner cutter, as mentioned earlier, and we'll go through and get those corners, and I'll show you some of the cards after they're done. I've also got some tricks on how to straighten out these cards as well. As you can see, they're pretty, they don't sit flat, really, at all. They're pretty, let me get that out here, they're pretty curled, so you can see that here. They're like banana boats. So we'll get those straightened out. But yeah, well, they're real magic cards.